Okay, guys, welcome to this week's edition of the Los Blancos podcast, which is a little mini podcast because I am not here in real life. So this is pre-recorded, and for this episode we will be doing Rodrygo's impacts for this season. Now, hopefully, this season we could see a better Rodrygo. We could see maybe something that like Vinny did last season. What if we do see something that Vinny did? I think that would be absolutely fantastic. However, it is quite unrealistic to expect that of Rodrygo because what Vinny did last season was truly magnificent. It was world-class performance. What I want to see from Rodrygo is a clear step up in the impact in his performances and a clear step up in terms of his role in the team, because there is a job or a position on the line there on the right wing. There is a position up for grabs. So I think Rodrygo could 100% get that. So in terms of performance, rather than not goals and assists, what would you expect from Rodrygo next season?
In terms of performance, I'd like him to make a bigger impact on the right wing. Of course, we know how good he is on the left wing, and of course, when he plays the right wing, he's much better when he comes on the bench, or if let's just say he plays more on the inside. So I think if he plays more consistent on the right wing, he can definitely up his goal numbers. Of course, before we even get into that.
Yeah, we'll talk about his play style for a minute. And he obviously likes to go out on the outside with his right foot. I think what I would like to see him use is a bit more of his two-footedness. I would want to see that a little bit more this season. He's got a clear two-footedness, and I think he can use that. And I think rather than when he's on the left, he tries to cut in dramatically. I think he should try and subtly cut in and try and make a bit more of an effect inside, especially if someone like Hazard is playing, because we've talked about how if Hazard is playing as a false nine, it has to be Asensio on the right wing. I think if Rodrygo can make himself a bit more like an inverted winger, using his left foot a bit more often, then I think that would be very, very useful for us. So what are your opinions on the role he should be playing on that right wing?
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. If he maybe plays more on the inside, it can allow either Dani Carvajal or Lucas Vazquez to push further up the pitch, to give him more options, because normally he's a right winger who touches the line, of course. But this preseason he has been playing more on the inside. However, he's been playing more on the inside to link up player. I don't think that he is the one who can cut inside on his left foot and maybe have a shot or send in a cross. I'm sure he can do it off and on, but it's not his natural game. I think it's because when you're dribbling, you're accustomed dribbling using your stronger foot. So if you're dribbling using your stronger foot on the left, the instinct would be to cut it on the inside. However, if you're using it from the right wing, it's to go down the line. I don't think that he is one to dribble using his left foot and cut in. So I think that's going to be a difficult adaptation for him. But however, what we can say is that he can maybe play a bit more on the inside when he's on the right wing, so that his movement can allow him to have the ball closer to the goal and maybe have more shots at goal.
Yeah, and I think we know with Rodrygo he's a good finisher. So I think if we want to see a few more goals next season, I think he has to start cutting in a little bit more. And when he goes outside, let's talk about that as well. When he goes outside, I think his crossing is very, very good. So I think a few more crosses needs to be delivered. I think that depends on the number 9 situation next season as well. If he needs to develop a new type of cross rather than just lifting it into the air, because I feel like he tries to lift it into the air, but when that's not really too effective when you've really only got one man in the box when it's Benzema, and that can be good like Vinicius does, where if you find Benzema each time, but I don't think that's an effective way to do it. So I think he should be looking to do a few more cutbacks next season, maybe to try and do a low cross just in a dangerous area, which makes it really awkward for the defenders. So what are your opinions on the type of crossing he could do next season?
I think he does. He is a bit more versatile when it comes to that. He can drive to the byline and send it in low and hard across the box, or he can cut it back. I've seen him done that a lot of times, so I'm not worried about that. Of course, sometimes there's no other option but to send in the cross, and when you have someone like Benzema, why not? If he's there and if there's an opportunity, I think that sometimes they will see they will see a pass that we don't. Comes out, it will look really good, and if it doesn't comes out, it's going to look like really audacious. So it's difficult to say that he needs to look for another course, because I've seen him, get to the byline and take his time before he make a decision. So I think that he's on the right path when it comes to his decision making in terms of cursing, but he is a good cursor, if I'm being honest. So I just think that maybe we would need, as a team, would need more options in the box, I would think.
Yeah, 100%. And lastly, let's talk about before we get into the goals, we'll talk about his relationships with the players on the right hand side. Now, obviously, Modric is a player there, as well as the fact that Fede also plays on that right side, preferably, as well as the fact that the right back as well. So, what would you like to see from Rodrygo next season in terms of linking up with these players? Would you like to see him drop deep, perhaps let Modric or Fede run on but beyond him, or would you rather see him cutting inside, creating the space on the right hand side for Carvajal or the right central midfielder to run into? So, what would you like to see from his link ups next season?
Yeah, well, I mean, for example, in relation to Asensio on the wing, he is really good in terms of his link-up play. Whether it's with Carvajal, Lucas Vazquez, or even Modric or Ceballos, Camavinga, whoever plays on that right half spaces or on the full-back side. So I think Rodrygo, I think he's good in link-up. That's an underrated aspect of him. However, he's not as good as, for example, let's say Asensio is. But however, I think if he focuses a bit more on link up, he's not going to get the goals as he would like, because of course he will position himself a bit deeper. So that's a starter for me. If he's positioned too deep to link up play, then of course he's not going to get the goals. However, I think that's something that he and Vini would have to do in order to create chances, because of course you're not just going to get chances by staying high up the pitch. It's not going to work like that all the time. Sometimes you have to chop deep. So I think that he would, have to improve on his link up. Even though I'd like to see him play closer to the goal, it's going to take some time for us to develop a system where he can play closer to the goal.
Yeah, and lastly, let's talk about a target for next season. I think, for me, a sensible target, it's not like Vinny where he got 20 goals, 20 assists last season. I think a sensible target would be something like 10 goals, 10 assists, or let's just make it easier, 20 goal contributions next season. I think that would be incredible from him, and I think that would cement his spot as the starting right winger for us next season. So, what is your target for him next season?
Yeah, exactly. 10 goals and assists, or 20 goals and assists along that line. Because let's be honest, if Vinicius and Benzema continue from what they did on last season, or even get better in Vinicius' case, I think that we can realistically, we don't need him to score a lot of goals. We would need him to contribute a bit more than he did, which will of course give us more points, and of course he'll win games that we drew or lost on last season. But in terms of getting like 20 goals and 20 assists, it's difficult for 3 players to get that amount. I think that's maybe why he didn't get it on last year. So of course, if Benzema and Vinicius continue scoring, then he would need to at least maybe get more assists. And so I don't think I would mind if there's, like, for example, 14 assists, 6 goals. Or because of course assist is really important, and of course people underestimate that aspect of the game, because of when you're playing on the right wing, where he plays, it's either he's playing more on the inside, or if he's playing more on the inside, or if he's playing a bit wider to facilitate play and helping link up. So you know what, I think I'll put that number up a bit. I'll put it up to 24. 23 to 25, about that would be fair to me.
Yeah, 100%. So that is it for this week's Los Blancos podcast. I hope you enjoyed this mini edition of the podcast. We'll be back next week with another pre-recorded one, but that is it for this week's podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.